What's up guys, the Strong Boys 19 here, and this is going to be a new album review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the latest album from the band Fury, entitled Born to Sin. Now this is the band's fourth studio album in their discography. This is the follow-up to their last album, The Grand Prize, from 2020, and it was my fifth favourite album of that year. And this is also the second record to feature this lineup currently that has been very, very busy and active so consistently as a band, with the original founder, vocalist and guitarist Julian, Becky on bass, Tom on the drums, and as well as Jake on lead guitar, and also the credits to Naya for backing vocal harmonies. So I've been a big fan of Fury for a long time, well, pretty much over a decade, as I did discover this band at the time when I had met Ailstorm for the very first time, and then ever since the releases of the self-titled EP and Burn the Earth, multiple lineup changes had happened across the journey of this first Worcester, now Birmingham-based heavy metal style band. And I was really looking forward to what the result of Born to Sin is going to be like. And as much as I have loved a lot of their discography, into this lineup and with the sounds of the Grand Prize, Fury for me had been so much more significant in making things really tight and as adrenaline building and as exciting, to be honest with you. And with the Grand Prize, for me it had some of the best, catchiest and memorable hooks from song after song after song. But with Born to Sin, this is an album that I immediately can hear some more difference into the style of arrangements and the versatility. And that's what I really appreciate a lot on this album. And Fury are a band that are never afraid to really find some more new things into this direction of the way of writing this album's music. And I'll have to say, with Born to Sin, this is to me a really, really good album to follow up the Grand Prize. Now, do I personally prefer this album over the Grand Prize or the other way round? For me personally, I am more of a fan of the Grand Prize, but there is no doubt whatsoever that Born to Sin does have really good, awesome musicianship and power into these songs. The entirety of this album, for 10 tracks, is incredibly consistent from start to finish, and with a lot of the songs, like on the opener, If You Get to Hell First, this is a really strong opening song to begin the album, with a lot of stuff going on, separate guitar riffs that are so aggressive. Julian's vocals were just as outstanding as ever, and other tracks like onto Hell of a Night, which lyrically I still think that this is like a horror themed type of admiration, and the words really do blend in with this type of sound. Instrumentally, this is a song where it still makes me think on a bit of like the 90s heavy metal era style Metallica, because some of these drop D tuned riffs make me think of something from the Black Album. And I really think that there is some more variety into lyricisms. I think one of the other highlights on the album is the Ballad of Shadows and Dust. This is a piano ballad with the involvement of a friend of mine, Robin Fox, on the keyboards. His playing adds so much texture, and the playing was just so beautiful. It's delicate sounding. And again, when it comes to the ballads, like onto Upon the Lonesome Tide from the Grand Prize, this song, for Julian, into his own performances, his range is bigger and better than before. Incredibly melodic tune, and even on the vocal harmonies that were absolutely wonderful. Other tracks like onto Next in Line and as well as Sunrise, stunning, fantastic. I really like the optimism and the adrenaline of boosting in with the audience to hear some wonderful goodness on these crunchy and distorting, blazing riffs and these soaring guitar solos. And one of the best examples of that is on the title track of Born to Sin. Born to Sin is maybe the ultimate song on the album for me. It is the fastest number on this record, very, very thrashy, and it's just, you know, an all-out fuck you, balls to the wall type of aggression. It's fast speed, it's control and dexterity, and even on the involvement of the two separate guitarists of Jake and also Matt from Dekesis, taking turns on their solos, shredding the shit out of their guitar fretboards, to hear these phenomenal guitarists with such action and precise skills. And as well as onto other songs where you hear Becky's bass. Her bass work on this album is extraordinary. The tone of it is exquisite. It's just beautifully mixed in. It's got that raunchy thickness of a bass tone. Does make me think on a bit of like that Geezer Butler or a Cliff Burton type of sound, but it's an aesthetic sound of a bass tone that really mixes things so beautifully. And Tom's drumming, what can I personally say about him? His drum work for Fury, like from the Grand Prize, and as well as this, some of the beats that he does create are so versatile and rhythmic. Take for instance like onto Nico McBrain from Iron Maiden, but sometimes much more faster, and I really think that this album will be the one for you if you want to get into that vibe. As much as I think that Fury as a band have been still awesome ever since that I did discover this band, Born to Sin is one of those albums that the more I think about it, the more I listen to it, it gets better and better every time I listen to it. And its production is, for me, just as top-notch, like on their earlier releases. If you have not heard of this album before, or this band in general, at the moment at least, then you are missing out. Because if you love influences from Iron Maiden to Metallica and some of the other greats of new wave of British heavy metal, and a bit of Sabbath tinges here and there, and some more of that goodness with such a brilliant, manic but powerful source of newer metal bands bringing in their own art, Fury are one of those bands that you should absolutely have to check out. So in terms for a rating for Born to Sin by Fury, I am extremely confident to give this record an 8.5 out of 10. It will be maybe a grower for me to possibly give it a 9 in the later few months coming up, but Fury cannot really do anything wrong, because if you love metal, if you love heavy metal with sounds of melodic approaches, twin guitar harmonies, and over-the-top mentalities of craft and sound, then Fury are just absolutely worth your time. And it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to be friends with the band, and funnily enough, I'm going to be seeing them at the Hare and Hounds, and they are on tour currently. So if you are a fan of Fury, go and support the band live. They're just as phenomenal live as they are in the studio making music. So that's all I would like to say for this album, Born to Sin by Fury. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll keep you guys posted for more videos in the near future.